Through the years, lots of happy times. Rural churches, when you lived out in the country like we did, your church was the center of activity. Everything revolved around the church, and the church was not in competition with everything like it is today. We have a few new people that have come in the congregation, but the most of the congregation can trace your ancestry back as having been here for many, many years. Bethany, a church that's 200 years old. Basically, churches, whether it's Bethany or any other church, does not start from nowhere. It takes years, it takes lots of hard work, lots of preparation to be able to organize a church, whether it's a modern day or whether it's what we found back in the late 1700s and throughout the 1800s in rural America. In 1781, we find the first records referring to an olive white charge in the Methodist church. And we don't know what churches that included. Most likely it was just congregations that were meeting in the Norfolk, the Portsmouth area. And as you see the different churches being organized, it's almost like a wave from here to there and further up. And that charge actually encompassed an area from Norfolk, Portsmouth, north as far as Fredericksburg, and inland to Brunswick County. At one time, there were 10 churches on our charge, and you saw your minister, you had a formal worship service once a quarter. In my first remembrance, we only had 5 churches on the charge, and we had worship services every other Sunday. We have continued to separate from other churches, and a few years ago, we became a station church, meaning we have one minister that serves one congregation. In May of 1817 is when we have the first formal record of Bedgood Church, was the forerunner of Bethany. And on May the 5th, 1817, the deed was signed where Mallory Todd, the founder of the ham industry in Smithfield, Mallory Todd deeded land to 5 gentlemen for the formation of a Methodist Episcopal congregation. That being the beginning of Bethany. The Virginia Conference records in 1871 once again list an olive white charge. So we knew that we were an active church, active charge. In 1890, Richard Turner, he and his brother were very prosperous businessmen. One of the businesses that they had was a lumber business, and Mr. Turner donated all of the lumber that was used in the construction of this building. The logs were sawed locally, put on barges, carried to Richmond. The millwork was completed for our paneling, which is a yellow pine, hot pine, 3.5-inch tongue and groove. Surprising that very few alterations have taken place. Some of it was probably we didn't have the money to do anything through the years, but then also I think the congregation had a true appreciation for the facility that we have here. The 2 windows in the pulpit and also the window over our vestibule are original to the facility. A number of years ago, we had some conservation work done on our memorial windows, and when the gentleman walked in, he's from Shenandoah Glass Company, and he began to study the glass. He said that that glass was manufactured in Germany. Richard Turner, with his money, he probably acquired the best for what he was putting here, and that the factories that manufactured that glass were destroyed during the First World War and never rebuilt. If you look at the roof line of the church, you can see our growth and our expansion through the years because there is a different roof line height for each of these expansions that are taking place. What you're looking at now is a hitching ring that was found in one of the large oak trees that was on the church lot. The oak tree probably stood at least 5 to 6 feet in diameter on stump base. And once a tree died, it was cut down and cut up in blocks. But as we were moving the logs, we found this hitching ring fell out. And you could tell from the growth of the tree, even though it was deteriorated, that it was probably, the growth exceeded at least 12 inches from the end of the ring. It's a hand-forged metal ring, and it was used by attendees at the church to tie their horses when they came. You're looking at several items now that I found on the churchyard with a metal detector. The brass button, as appears to be, with the single star in the center, was found on the churchyard near a trench. During the Civil War, there was a fort directly across from the church called Fort B, and soldiers frequently attended worship service here at church. Not only is this a place for personal growth, but when you think of Bethany, if somebody asked me to summarize it in one word, I would have to say our mission work. There is rarely any type of natural disaster that Bethany isn't among we're sending money. I love everything about Bethany because it's home to me. And I've always enjoyed history, I enjoy family lore. The people that were here, even prior to me coming, and then the people that have been here in my lifetime that has affected my life. There's a lot of history in the walls here, it really is.